Hey everybody, it's Tim.
And Terry.
And we're back again, and we wanted to welcome you back into our lives, and we wanted to make a difference once again. The response to the videos have been totally amazing, right?
Really
and we've
good.
had a lot of private messages through Facebook and other means, and so we wanted to add in this video my personal email, which is Tim Roberto Addiction Counselor at gmail.com, Tim Roberto Addiction Counselor at gmail.com. And with all this feedback that we got, we know there's a lot of questions out there. So if you wanted to obviously email and keep it private, this is why I decided to add my email, and Terry and I would discuss what question to pick and what concern or where our area of expertise might be, and that we could pass on to you.
Yeah, and we'll continue to do our videos once a week on Sundays. And if you're not concerned with privacy, you can always just leave a comment on something a topic that you want or question that you had.
Yep. So today's topic.
Today's topic is codependency.
Ooh.
A very I guess common kind of situation that I find a lot of my clients suffer from or have experienced. So that's one of the reasons that we thought this would be a pretty good topic, and people we're working with, when you agree, that's very common.
Yeah, yes. Very prevalent. Very prevalent. It's almost like a bad word.
Yeah, and I feel like the biggest thing is the misconception of what that means. A lot of people see that and they're like, oh, I'm dependent on this person because I need to use their car, or they're paying the rent, or I need them financially. We depend on each other for things, and that's really not it. It's way beyond that. Just because you depend on someone for some of your needs doesn't mean that you have codependent tendencies or you're in a codependent relationship. So you agree on that, right? That
yeah, 100%. It's
some confusion.
Yeah, it's obviously a dysfunctional behavior. It's it's something that is learned. It's just as addictive as any other addiction. And it's a very difficult web to get out of. A lot of people throw around the word codependency. It's a great word because everybody does know it, so it has word identification, but it's a lack of self-worth. There's something inside me that I can't do for myself, and there's something inside me that something's missing. I don't feel worthy, and I find this worth in other people, but we all know that that's unhealthy, and it's not possible, because when I have that mentality, when I'm trying to find my worth through others, the complete opposite happens. I lose myself in others.
Definitely. And we had a definition that's kind of easy to think about too. It's when one person relies on another for most of all of their emotional needs and their self-esteem needs. So, I kind of think of it as this, right? Here's a person, but here's you. Like, you live through this person. This person is everything. Like, you're living through them and you don't have a sense of self. And you expect that person to fill everything for you, and it's impossible. And one of the things that happens is the codependent person starts having anger issues. You want to touch on that a little bit?
Sure, because it's internalized, just like all these other situations in our life, that programmed us, so to say, to get to this level in our lack of self-worth. And so I get angry. People aren't doing what I expect them to do. So it becomes, very confusing. We take things personally. We start saying, well, after everything I've done for you, how could you do this to me? And we're very hurt, very sensitive people.
Yes, and it does start, there's certain, I guess, kind of character traits that you might have that could kind of get you to be, more of a codependent role. People that are, comfortable in that caretaking role tend to sometimes end up in these codependent type of relationships. And that could be, say you were a young child and you had sick parents and you were the caretaker, and that's what you're comfortable doing. And the misconception that I find with a lot of my clients is it starts out as you want to help somebody and you think you're doing a good thing, and because of other things you're comfortable in this role, but it doesn't fulfill all your needs, so then you feel lost in the person, and it's kind of this vicious cycle where you're doing all this caretaking, you're living through them, you don't have a sense of self, you can't get a boost in self-esteem because the people that you're attracted to usually aren't healthy either, and that's one of the other things that, you know, we were talking about before, how you know, the people that you attract aren't going to probably be the people that can meet the needs that you have. So how do you, what's one of the steps that you could do to kind of start, if you know, if you can say, yeah, I think this is me, you know, what do you recommend, Tim, that someone could do just to kind of...
Well, with my clients, I'm constantly asking them to challenge their thinking. You know, what have they been denying? What don't they want to uncover? What don't they want to discover? You know, codependency, I believe, for me, and what I continue to see, the root of it is we all want validation. You know, it's just a human condition, I think. You know, we all want to be recognized. We all want to be liked. But like I said, you know, I need to take a look at what's going on now, and I need to have an honest conversation with myself. You know, how is my way working? And the only way I can start putting these pieces together to have this honest conversation with self is to start from the very beginning. I'm a person who's a firm believer in the very beginning. You know, everything about life is a puzzle, and everything we do is now. You know, we became teenagers now, we had our first kiss now, we had our first drink now, we got our license to drive now, we were able to vote now. Everything we do is now, and these codependents have this trap, you know, of this image of what they think it's supposed to be like, instead of living like what it already is. So I look at it as the puzzle of life, you know, and I have this little box, and I need to get with somebody, and when I get with somebody, a therapist, counselor, you know, I make this agreement with them, and they ask me one more time, are you ready to take a look at this? Okay, next session, bring your box in, and we're going to take the cover off that box, and we're just going to throw it up in the air, and we're going to let all those pieces, wherever they fall, let them fall, and then we're going to start sitting down and putting all this stuff piece by piece by piece, because I get so blocked from it through my addiction. I'm so removed from self. I can't look at what's really going on because I'm constantly cluttered up here. So I would start with, how is my life going? How am I showing up for my life? What am I doing to challenge my thinking? How am I allowing others to treat me?
And then there's a whole other side to the whole self-esteem piece, because usually, you know, you're searching for all these needs and all this affection and love that you think you're missing, when it's really inside yourself, right? You have to learn how to love yourself first before you can even give back to someone else. So it's easy to say, well, I'm just going to care for this person that's sick, or I'm just going to, you know, pay for this person's life while they're not doing much and it's not an equal relationship, because that's going to give me value and that's going to make me feel good about myself. But it's just a short-term reward based on later you feel resentful because it's not giving you what you want. So, you know, you really have to find the love within yourself if you're, you know, in this codependent cycle. Because if you don't advocate for yourself and love yourself and start to find yourself, like Tim was saying, fix your pieces of the puzzle, it's just going to be the pattern that you continue to get in all your relationships. So again, like most topics we touch on, it's going to take work. It's going to take realizing that this is, you know, what's going on, and wanting to change and wanting to get help. And then, you know, you want to get back to having a sense of self, right? So you're separate from the people that you're in relationships with. You know, it's not just that you're in a codependent relationship with, you know, someone else. It could be your parent, it could be a sibling, it could be anyone. But, you know, once you have the sense of self, then you can be happy in any relationship because you're separate from that person. Yeah,
and finding this sense of self, like Terry was saying, you know, it takes work. It takes work to remain in these dysfunctional relationships. It takes work to constantly criticize yourself. It takes work that you know, that I need something, you know, women, I work with a lot of women as well, and I always ask women, do you need a man or do you want to be with a man? And there's a huge difference in that, and a lot of them don't grab onto that initially, but as we continue to process and discuss, then of course it becomes clearer. But I can't operate on what I don't know. I can't operate on what wasn't given to me. So many people sit by themselves and codependents. They're in the same ball game too. They sit quiet and they wonder what's wrong with them, what's missing, why can't I get like this? We all know what we're doing to ourselves, and we're very focused on, oh, I had a great childhood, I had this and I had that and this and that, but everything's still wrong. What's missing? And I always ask my clients, has anybody ever challenged you or asked you to think? Maybe it's what you weren't giving. Maybe it's what you weren't given that continues to have you feeling like, when you sit quiet, what's wrong with me? And it makes it very difficult. So this is why we're blessed to be doing these videos. This is why we're blessed to be at a different table, sort of say. We all have a history, and in this history, we're able to see what tables we chose to sit at, right? What was the conversation of the day? Was I sitting with other people like-minded? Did I get to a point where I wanted to move to another table? This is what's great about what Terry and I are doing. This is about what's so great about having a counselor or therapist. It changes the conversation. It changes the tables that you're sitting at.
Definitely.
Right?
Yeah.
So if you're codependent, if you look in the mirror and say, what's wrong with me? There's nothing wrong with you. You're perfect just the way you are. You're just removed. You're removed and maybe
here, right? Instead of, here, separate your own self and feeling happy about who you are. Whether it's, you're alone, right? Or you're with someone else. That's really your goal.
Yeah.
And it's really more about discovering of yourself because you're so worth it. Thanks, guys. Have a great day.
Yep, you too. God bless.